Hello Infiniteers, and welcome back to my Monsters, Inc. toy box for what should be our final time. Because today, I'm going to finish this toy box and this series. Now, my main objective today is to show you how to implement the logic for the mission to rescue the children in the door storage area, which of course is back over that way. This is the easiest of the three missions to hook up, because the logic is pretty straightforward, and it's very similar to other missions that I've built in other toy boxes. After I've shown you how to hook up that logic, then I will add on the ceilings for the different rooms that need them, and we'll be all done. But before we get to that, I've got two things I need to bring up. First, I want to let you know that there will not be a video on Monday. My next video will be my annual Halloween video, and that will air on Tuesday. The other thing I want to bring up is a logic connection that I forgot to connect last time. When the mission is done, I want to take Don Carlton here out of the toy box, because at that point he's just taking up memory for no purpose. And so when we collect the final scare canister here in the warehouse, we can go ahead and take him out. And when the player gets back to the scare floor, the fact that he's gone won't be a problem. So it won't be kind of jarring to find him not there. So on the collectible tracker, we want to do a new logic connection. When the final collectible is collected, come over to our friendly wave generator and defeat the wave. That connection was on the logic diagrams that I posted for the last episode, but I did not make that connection in the video, so I wanted to make sure you were aware of it, because I know not everybody looks at those logic diagrams. All right, so let me start off by showing you the Creativitoys that I have placed ahead of time to save a little bit of time. And once again, let me remind you that I have logic diagrams on my blog for today's episode. The link is in the video description, and you may find it helpful to follow along on the diagrams as I hook everything up. So, I have placed a new locator here for our mission giver for this final mission. And I've placed it here between those first two doors on the scare floor. And then out here, I have placed a dynamic trigger, a friendly wave generator, and a radar marker. Those are for our mission giver. In the tunnel leading into the door storage area, I have this trigger area, and I've just placed this here. I have not resized it. You can see how that's positioned. And inside the door storage area, I have placed an enemy wave generator, another radar marker, and another friendly wave generator. And this one is for the kids. And then I've placed some locators here on the towers. So this one is facing that direction. This one is facing the opposite direction. Up top, I've placed another one up here. And let me show you the locators first. There's a locator up here on top of this tower, and one here. And then down below on this level, I've placed one out here near the elevator. And then I've placed two up here. If I can just select them. Up on this ledge, this balcony up here. Okay? And then I've placed a number of Stitch Townsperson doors from the Gameplay Toys drawer. These are from Stitch's Tropical Rescue. And I like the look of the door because it kind of matches a little bit the doors that are here on the walls. But I've placed one on this back tower. I've placed another one down here. On the first tower, I have placed one on the ground back here. One here. And one here. And you'll notice on this first tower, they're all on the back side, away from the entrance over here, so that when you enter, you cannot see those doors, because I don't want that to distract from the look of the tower in the middle of the room. All right, let's go ahead and hook things up a little bit here first. So all I've done is place these toys ahead of time, and I also configured the waves, because those are long lists to scroll through. For the enemy wave generator, I have 4 FearTech paintball players. I'm using the same enemy so that I don't waste memory, because I haven't got a lot to spare. For the kids, on the friendly wave generator, I configured that wave to use Phineas, Ferb, Jesse, and Anna. And on the enemy wave generator, let's go ahead and connect those locators up. And I could have done this ahead of time, but this room is so huge, I figured it was going to be easier to show you which ones to hook up to. So we're going to put one on that tower at that level. We're going to hook up to both of these at this upper level on the second tower. So that one and the other one that's up there. And these locator positions are strategically placed just to make sure that the player does visit every location in here that I want them to visit. I could have had the enemies spawn in random locations and the kids spawn in random locations, but then there may be times you play through this and you never go to certain areas. And so instead of choosing that, I just decided to place these strategically to make sure that every time the player plays this, they have to go to these locations. Alright, so those are the 4 locators for the enemy wave generator. The friendly wave generator will go to the other 4 locators. And the order you connect these in doesn't really matter. We'll send the first kid over there. We'll put the second kid up on top of that tower over here. The third kid will go on the second tower on the first level. So right over here by this elevator. And then the final kid will go on top of the balcony in the back. Now certainly if you want to go ahead and randomly place these things, you're welcome to do that. I chose not to do that in mine. Oh, and by the way, I did add this other button over here, like I had on the opposite side, connected up to that rotating rail slide. So make sure you don't forget to do that. All right, while we're in here, let's just go ahead and configure the properties for everything. On these doors, every one of them can use the default settings here. So you don't have to change any of these except the normal response chance. You probably want to take that up to 10. I don't think we're actually using that, but I think it's better just to do that to make sure that none of those explosive chance things go off. But you want to make sure you set that for every one of these doors. Just take that all the way up. And even though this is set to 0, I just like to set that to 10 just to make sure. So set that same property for the other 3 doors on that tower. Alright, on the friendly wave generator for the kids, the properties here, we want to take the generation delay to 0, and everything else here is good to go. You don't have to change anything else. And that's also true for the enemy wave generator. Just take the generation delay to 0. You want these to generate as quickly as possible. For the radar marker, we're going to connect that up with a new actor connection to the friendly wave generator here. And on the properties for that, beacon type will be a yellow arrow. Beacon location needs to be the connected actor, and the rest of those properties you leave set. And we need the radar marker just to help us find the kids. Alright, so that's all of the toys configured in this room. We'll hook them up in a moment. For our mission giver out here, we're going to hook up our friendly wave generator to that locator. This is where our mission giver will go. And on the wave for this, I've already configured this ahead of time to use art. And on the properties for this, again, just take the generation delay to 0. For the radar marker, do a new actor connection. We're going to connect that up to our actor, our friendly wave generator, because we want a radar marker on art to bring the player to him. On the properties, the beacon type will be a yellow exclamation point. Beacon location is the connected actor. And I want this one on by default when you come in the toy box. For the dynamic trigger, connect that up to our friendly wave generator with a new actor connection. And on the properties for this, target needs to be the connected actor. And the trigger distance, we're going to set this to 4. All right. Now, when the player enters the toy box, there's a number of things we want to have happen. And let me just kind of run you through this. So the player is going to come over and talk to the mission giver, right? That's what we want him to do. And when he does that, we're going to kick off the mission. We're going to put the kids out into the door storage area so the player knows where to go. We're not going to put the enemies in there, though, until the player passes through this trigger area, because there's no point in having the enemies taking up memory if the player isn't even in this area. So we're going to wait to do that. And then once they're in this area, the mission will end when they have put all 4 of the kids into one of those townsperson doors. So that's the goal. That's basically what we're going to build. So we're going to come over to our level starter and set a few things up. So on the level starter, we're going to do a new logic connection on catalyze. First thing I want to do is come over to this trigger area and turn that off until we're ready for it, because we don't want to generate the enemies if the player just happens to come back here without the mission going. We could, I suppose, but I'd really rather not. We want to save memory in case they're doing some of the other missions. On the level starter, new logic connection on catalyze. We want to come over to our friendly wave generator for our actor, for our mission giver, and generate that wave. So we want to put art into the toy box. Those are the 2 things that we need to do with that level starter. And then at that point, you can come over here and push the button. That'll put art into the toy box and disable that that trigger area. All right, so when the player comes over to talk to art, the dynamic trigger will go off. And so this is what's going to kick off the mission. So on the dynamic trigger, we're going to do a new logic connection when entered by player any. First thing we will do is turn off the radar marker, because we don't need that anymore. The player has arrived. And on the radar marker, a new logic connection when deactivated will have that turn off the dynamic trigger, because we only want to do this one time. On the dynamic trigger, a new logic connection when entered by player any. What we're going to do now is come over to our text displayer that we put down last time. And under the missions category, all the way at the bottom, we'll have him say, "I need your help." On the dynamic trigger for the mission giver, a new logic connection when entered by player any. we're going to come over to our friendly wave generator over in the door storage area and generate that wave. That will put the children into the toy box at the locations that we hooked up. And the player needs to know they're there. So the other thing we'll do on the dynamic trigger is a new logic connection when entered by player any. We'll go turn on that radar marker. And that will bring the player back to this area. All right, and then the last thing that the dynamic trigger for the mission giver needs to do is turn on that trigger area. So a new logic connection when entered by player any. Come over to this little tunnel, to this trigger area, and activate it. Okay, so that kicks off the mission. So then the player hops on the rail, rides through to this area, and when they pass through this trigger area, there's a couple things we want to do. First thing I want to do is a new logic connection when entered by player any, is we're going to come over to our enemy wave generator and put the enemies in this part of the toy box. So we'll generate that wave. And we only want to do this one time. So when the wave is generated on the enemy wave generator, a new logic connection, when the wave is generated, we'll come back up and disable this trigger area because it will have served its purpose. Now the other thing we want to do when they pass through here is we can go ahead and take art out of the toy box. So when entered by player any on this trigger area, we can come over to the friendly wave generator for our mission giver. And we'll take art out by defeating the wave. So we're taking him out to make room for the enemies, basically. Alright, and that's everything the trigger area needs to do. Hopefully that's pretty straightforward. Now, once they are in here, everything is going to be governed by the friendly wave generator for the kids. So once this wave has been defeated, which will happen when all of the children have been thrown into the townspeople doors, then we end the mission. So on the friendly wave generator here, we're going to do a new logic connection. When the wave is defeated, we can turn off the radar marker because we're done with that. That'll save a little bit of CPU. On the friendly wave generator, a new logic connection. When the wave is defeated, we'll go over to our sound effect generator. And we'll play my standard end of mission tune, which is under the musical category. It's fanfare. And we also want to invoke that action enforcer. So on the friendly wave generator, a new logic connection when the wave is defeated. Come over to our action enforcer. And we'll have all the players celebrate. And there we go. That is everything for this mission. It's a pretty straightforward mission. Like I said, it's the easiest of them to hook up. Now the last thing we need to do is put the ceiling on. And so I'm going to pick up this little terrain block here and put it back just to get to the terrain drawer here. And we're going to need this texture. So let me come out of the editor. And I'm going to put down my power disk for Calhoun's command. No, I don't want to switch that entire thing. We're going to put down a couple of blocks back here. Put this one here like this. And we want to change the theme on this to be Calhoun's command. I'll set that to be my theme. And then this one sits in here like that. That covers up the tunnel. All right, for this area over here, to cover this up, let's put down another one of these blocks over here. And let's change the theme on this to be the Monsters University theme. So it'll match the brick there. And then we're going to put this small, thinner piece down, just because I don't want to put anything too tall that would be visible from the scare floor through the window. So we want to keep that kind of low. The fact that this one is kind of sticking up is not really a problem. It's far enough away, but if you don't like that, you could replace those with a row of these. And then the last thing we need are the ceilings for the bedrooms. And so on those, we pick this little piece up here and put it back so we can get to this large floor. We're going to place it down in here at that level. And for the theme on the ceiling pieces, if you go left, we're going to use the Plastic 2 theme. And I would love to be able to put another one of these in here, but I didn't make the room large enough for that. And so I'm going to use the big piece closer over to the bed, and we'll put the smaller pieces here, because the terrain seam, I'd rather have it look like a solid piece of ceiling on that end of the room than when the player turns around to leave. And so here we're just going to put the ceiling on each of these bedrooms. And I think, did I do this right? I think I might have made a little error here. Miscalculation. Yeah, so this this wall here, let's see, how would we do this? Because this actually needs to sit flush with this, which means this wall here should have come in a little bit further. This wall should have been over this way a little bit further. So what you would need to do, and then you can place the small pieces in here. Right, so to fix that, what we would have to do is take all of these Creativitoys, all of these little pieces here, and move them over a tad. And to do that, you're going to have to drop the floor. Right, so we're going to move the chest over. We're going to move the windows over. Well, and to do that, we're going to have to move this piece back. We're up out of the way. So this is easy enough to fix, but it's going to take a little bit of work here. And I could just not do this and just tell you what you need to do, but since I'm here, I think we should go ahead and do it. All right, let me bring this up. It's colliding with that collectible, so I need to move the collectible here. And I should probably move these little toys too. Alright, so now we can bring this over. Put it where it needs to go. This piece, we're going to have to bring this back. And again, I could just talk you through this, but I want you to see you can fix these things. And I want to show you that, yeah, you can fix these things. Actually, that one does stay where it is. It's the rest of these that need to move a little bit further into the room. So we're going to bring this in. It's just a little bit of a challenge to get all of these pieces. Selecting the bed's a little bit of a challenge. There it is. All right, so bring this over. Bring that locator over. Bring the rail slide target over. This little nightstand. Let's see, where am I? There we go. And then the trigger area. And then finally we can put the collectible here over where it should go. Alright, and then we can bring the walls back and put them where they need to go. Should have measured that a little bit more carefully when I was building this. This piece we need to slide back. This piece we bring it back down. And now we can take this piece and slide it in. That piece can then sit in there where it needs to go. And then fill in the gap with the smaller pieces. And this is another situation here where it's going to be easiest just to move these things. So let's see, how do we want to do this? Let's move the door. Well, I guess we picked up the trigger area. Move that first then. And the door is going to hit that. So I got to move my time delayer. So yeah, you can recover from this, but it does take a little bit of work. And I'm sorry for making this video longer than I wanted it to be. Whoops, not that one. I thought I picked up that. That will need to sit there to plug that little gap. Of course, you'll have to change the theme on that. Let's put the other ceiling in though first. Oh, we got to move that checkpoint. Okay, and then you can put the other part of the ceiling in. Like that. And we want to bring the floor up. And then we can change the theme. Oops. Thought I selected... Oh, wrong button. And we can change that to stuntwood. Alright, so you can put the other ceilings on in the other bedrooms yourself. And you're probably going to run into the same issue here. Yeah, needs to line up here. And so this wall here needs to move to the left 1 nudge, which means all of these toys here need to move to the left 1 nudge, just like we did over in that room. And then this room should be fine, because this is the same as the first room we did there. Yeah, we can put the ceiling on here, no problem. And once you have those ceilings on, you can move all the Creativa toys beneath the terrain so they're out of sight, and then you'll be all finished. And that brings this toy box and this series to its conclusion. I hope you've enjoyed seeing this toy box in action and watching me build it. This was a lot of fun to design, and I like how it turned out. I know some of you have been wanting a good scare floor build for a long time, and I hope this toy box is everything that you hoped it would be. Before you go, please hit the like button and leave a comment to let me know your final thoughts about this series. I'd also love to know what you might have done differently, and if you plan to build either one of these toy boxes, or both. Don't forget that I have logic diagrams on my blog for today's episode. The link is in the video description. I would also encourage you to subscribe to my channel by clicking my photo in the lower right corner of this video so you don't miss my next toy box project. That's all for me today. Take care.